Two MLB best bets are on the way. Yes, I do have a nerfy of the day for you guys today alongside one side, and then I'm going to lock in one NFL future best bet. This is the free three. Let's get into these winners. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day and just try to get to the bag together and make some money. The month of September did not start off the way we wanted to. Well, it was a break-even day yesterday. 1-1 on the day. We cashed in on the Braves and Mets first five under, no sweat bet there. That game went under, but we did lose on Mabry's points. I mean, she got the volume. She shot it like 10 times, 6-7 times from the three-point line. She just couldn't hit the side of a barn, so you hate to see that. So 1-1 on the day yesterday, and if you did tap into the channel as well, I gave you guys a look-ahead bet for the Thursday Night Football NFL kickoff matchup between the Ravens and the Chiefs. I told you guys to lock in Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. If you want to hear the full analysis on that pick, go to yesterday's video on September the 3rd. You guys can listen to that. But in today's video, I'm going to give you another NFL pick. It's not going to be in tomorrow's game. It's going to be an NFL future. If you want my analysis on tomorrow's Thursday Night Football game, then you know where you got to come. Got to come back to the channel tomorrow. And if you're not tapped into the channel every single day, what are you doing? Smash that subscribe button. Make sure you're liking the channel as we're going to continue to run up the bag this entire fall season. NFL, college football, baseball playoffs. A lot of action is on the way for you guys. So let's dive into these winners for today as I love this MLB slate. And then we also have some NFL, all right? Let's get into these winners. For my first best bet of the day, let's take a look at a matchup here. And there's a lot of things that are going on right now in the MLB playoffs, especially as teams are fighting for positioning. So if you guys don't know, all of the division leaders make the playoffs automatically in the MLB. Then the next three teams will get a wild card spot. So if you look at the American League right now, we've got the New York Yankees who've locked down a spot. We have the Minnesota Twins who are trying to hold up that second wild card spot. We've got the Kansas City Royals, and then the Tigers, the Red Sox, the Mariners, the Rays. They're all battling for that third and final wild card spot. But I'm not worried about what's going on in the American League today. We're going to talk about the National League because the National League is where things start getting a real crazy. So right now, if you look at the NL West, right? I mean, it's absolutely loaded. Obviously, you have the Dodgers right now who are number one in the NL West at 84-55. Then you've got the Padres second at 79-61. Then you've got the D-backs right behind them at 78-61. Then the San Francisco Giants are right behind them at 68-71. But if you look at it from the standings perspective, right now the Padres have the number one wild card spot. The D-backs are a game and a half behind them for the second wild card spot. The Braves have the third wild card spot, and they're about 2.5 games back behind the D-backs. And then the Mets are fighting for that third wild card spot, about a half a game behind the Braves. The Cubs are about 4.5 games behind the Braves as well. Then the Giants are about 7.5 games. So the Giants are not really in contention when you really kind of do it mathematically. 20 games left. It's very hard to see them making up that type of ground. D-backs have a lot to play for, and they have a lot to lose, because if they start losing some games in a row, guess what? The Braves can take their spot, and the Mets can take their spot, and before you know it, they're not even in the postseason anymore. As a result, the D-backs have to win today. It's a big game for them against the Giants, a divisional opponent, so I'm going to take the D-backs on the money line, -135 odds. Now, it's a little bit more expensive than I like to give out on the channel, but I like this matchup here because Zach Gallen is on the mound for the D-backs. We know he's one of the best pitchers in the league when he's dialed in. He's one of the best pitchers on the D-backs rotation. There's no reason why they should not pick up the win today. I kind of told you already what everything's at stake on the line here, and if they lose multiple games in a row, they can easily find themselves out of playoff contention. Now, Zach Gallen is a guy at times where you don't know what type of form he's going to be in, like in his last start against the Dodgers. He only went 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs given up. But his start before that against the Red Sox, he pitched 6 innings of shutout baseball, only giving up 2 hits to go with 9 strikeouts. His start before that against the Rays, another 4 runs given up over 5 innings. But his start before that against the Phillies, 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. So you can kind of see what happens here. He has some starts where he's given up 4 or 5 earned runs. He has some starts where he's absolutely untouchable. That's what we need from him today against this Giants lineup. And I think that he's going to be able to get the run support because the Giants are sending Hayden Birdsong to the mound. 5.14 ERA in his last start against the Brewers. Only 3 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 5 earned runs given up to go with 1 home run. Birdsong has struggled with his control all year. His last start against the Brewers, 4 walks given up. His start before that against the Mariners, another 4 walks given up. His start before that against the Athletics, another 3 walks given up. This is not a Diamondbacks team that you want to give free base paths to. Why? Because not only do they have a potent offense, but they like to steal bases as well. They've got a lot of speed on the base paths. We know you got Corbin Carroll there. You've got Ketel Marte. You've got so many different guys who can steal bases, and you don't want to give those free bases. But also, when you look at this D-backs offense, they've been the #1 offense in the majors over the past month in terms of runs scored per game. If you look at their numbers over the last 30 days, they're averaging 6.74 runs per game. That's absolutely crazy to think about, right? They're scoring at a very high clip. They're hitting the ball really well. They have a 67% win percentage in that time as well. So they're playing really great baseball over the last 30 days. That's what you want to back here, especially when your back is against the wall, especially when you know when the games matter, and then when you're sending your best pitcher, the ace of the mountain, Zach Gallen. So for me, the Diamondbacks have a lot to play for. The Giants still do as well mathematically, but when you really look at it, they don't really stand a chance. But the Diamondbacks, they still have a lot to go for today. Give me Diamondbacks on the money line against the Giants as our first pick of the day. Now, for our second best bet of the day, I'm going to give you a quick nerfie of the day. I'm not going to lie, it's not really my favorite nerfie, but in terms of odds value, it is the best nerfie on the board right now. And then we're going to go with the Pirates and the Cubs, and we're going to take the nerfie in this one between Jermaine and Imanaga, and it's -120 odds. So you can't really beat that when you have Imanaga on the mound. If you guys have been a part of the nerfie nation all year, then you know Imanaga has been a guy where you're normally laying -140, -145, -150 when he's on the mound when it comes down to the nerfie. Now, Domingo Germán is not a guy who has a whole lot of experience this year. He's only 1-0 this year when it comes down to nerfies, so not too bad of a sample size there. But what gives me the confidence to take him here are the Cubs, who are really slow in terms of getting their offense going. 77% nerfie success rate on the offensive side, meaning they don't score a lot of runs, and they have not scored a run in the first inning in 5 straight games. Meanwhile, Imanaga has been really strong for the Cubs this year when it comes down to the nerfie. 21-4 to the nerfie. You love to see that. And the Pirates really suck in terms of scoring runs in the first inning. 80%. That is second lowest in all of the major leagues. The only team that hasn't scored more runs in the first inning this year is the Washington Nationals. They haven't scored a run in the first inning in 5 straight games. That is the Pirates. So as a result, I think we can get through the 6 outs that we need here. Give me Domingo Germán. Give me Shode Imanaga. Really good value at -120 for our nerfie of the day between the Pirates and the Cubs. For our third and final pick of the day, it won't be able to cash in today, but it is a season-long future in the NFL, and I want to lock this one in right now before the games get started. And I love this matchup here. I love this situational play, and we're going to go with the Houston Texans to win the AFC South, -120 odds. I know when you're picking futures, most people like to get plus value. Nothing wrong with that, but remember, it's only juice if matters if you lose. Now, this Houston Texans team, we saw them make the playoffs last year under rookie quarterback CJ Stroud. But guess what? This offseason, they completely reloaded. They got him some pieces. Obviously, the big piece that they picked up was wide receiver Stephon Diggs there. That's a great additional piece to add alongside Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Now you have 3 real solid wide receivers to go with now, to also go with Dalton Schultz, who they extended during the offseason. You love to see that. They picked up a solid running back in Joe Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals. And then they also were able to bolster up that defense a little bit by adding a few guys on the defensive line and really making sure that they can get their corners established by getting a corner within the first round as well. So for me, I don't think that the Texans are going to lose this division. They're very well coached in DeMeco Ryans, and even though that defense is the weak part of their team, specifically that linebacking core, that's what DeMeco Ryans does best. A Pro Bowl linebacker in his years when he was playing in the league. There's no doubt that he should be able to figure out how to get those guys to play well together throughout the course of the season. It might not happen immediately, but it'll happen throughout the course of the season. I'm thinking about an 11-6 record for them this year. They finished 10-7 last year. If you want to take their over their 9.5 wins, I'm not opposed to that as well. But when you look at some of the other teams in the AFC South, I don't see any other team that can really put up a fight against this Texans team. Maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the problem with the Jaguars is, 1, Trevor Lawrence just turns over the ball way too much, but 2, they lost a lot of veterans this year. They lost their best wide receiver in Calvin Ridley. He left. They lost their speedy wideout in Zay Jones. He left. They lost a few corners and DBs in Rashawn Jenkins and Darius Williams. They did add Ronald Darby, who's kind of a little bit of an older corner, so I don't know if that's really like that good of a pickup. They did add Gabe Davis, again, another older receiver from the Buffalo Bills. So they just did not retool as much as they needed to, and they finished off the year 9-8 last year, which was not really what you wanted to see. They paid Lawrence that big money during the offseason. I just don't know if this is going to be the year for the Jaguars. Can they still get to the playoffs? Sure, as a wild card, but I just don't really see them winning this division. And then when we look at the other two teams with the Titans and the Colts, obviously Anthony Richardson is going to be trying to play a full season this year for the Colts. That offensive line still has some question marks. They're going to run the ball a lot with Jonathan Taylor, but I really don't see too many things on that Colts team. And then the Tennessee Titans are the Tennessee Titans. They lost Derrick Henry. They lost Ryan Tannehill. It's Will Levis's team now. You know, they got Tony Pollard. They got Calvin Ridley. They've got a new first-year head coach in Brian Callahan. I don't know what that Titans team is going to do. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of them. This is the Texans division to lose. -120. I know it's not the best that you want to put in when you're riding a season-long future, but I don't really see any other team that's going to beat this Texans team. So I like them to win the AFC South. I actually saw somebody who put in a Super Bowl pick on the Texans at plus 1,600. Now, that's crazy odd value considering the fact that the Ravens are plus 1,200 right now. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but I do think that this is a Texans team that could shock some people and be in the AFC Championship game. So maybe you want to sprinkle a little bit on that if you can at this point in the season, depending on what your book has. That might be something that gives you really good odds value for it. But for me, the Houston Texans to win the AFC South is a no-brainer. I'm taking them here, season-long future, as our NFL future of the day. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 2 best bets on this September the 4th card and 1 NFL future as we get the NFL season kicked off tomorrow. For today, we're going to take the D-backs on the money line, and then we're also going to take the Nerfy between the Pirates and the Cubs. Make sure you guys lock in that season-long future with the Houston Texans to win the AFC South before the games start this weekend. And then if you want my picks and plays in tomorrow's game between the Chiefs and the Ravens, be back as I'll give you guys an additional winners besides the Derrick Henry any touchdown winner that I gave you guys yesterday. All right, my friends, let's get to that cheddar. As always, dictate your fate, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video. Later, guys.